Hi, everybody. It's time to do another sample selection, right? This is where I go to my vast collection of Kindle samples and I try to chip away at them as best I can. It never really works. Every book that comes off of there, a bunch more come on there. But what that means is that I will have material for this thing forever. All right, so the sample that the big old random list came up with for us this time is 381 by Aliya Whiteley. Just looking at the cover, and I know there's a whole thing about books, covers, and the judging thereof, but just looking at the cover, it is complicated, it is messy, there's a lot of things going on. I see Lego pieces and phones and pig faces and the number 381 over and over and over again. And what's really interesting is there's a kind of a subtitle, if you will. It's a mid-title. It's between the author's name and the title of the book. You will know your place when you are done. Sounds a little ominous, but we shall see. So I'll give the sample a read, and I will come back to you to tell you what my thoughts are. All right? Back in a minute. All right, 381 by Aliya Whiteley. This book looks interesting. It looks like the kind of book that I would enjoy because mainly it is a multi-layered book. Now, if you might remember, this channel that you are watching now, that you have undoubtedly subscribed to, that you were a huge fan of, I am sure, began with Frankenstein. And one of the qualities of Frankenstein is this sort of Russian doll novel, right? It's the framing device is letters by this Captain Walton, and then we get Victor Frankenstein's story, and then we get the creature story, and then contained within the creature story are the story of the DeLacy's and of Sapie, right? It's got these multiple sort of layers of reality. And it looks like Whiteley is doing something kind of similar here. The book starts off January 7th, 2314. So, sci-fi book. Great. And we get our narrator, who is someone named Rowena Savalas. And Rowena kind of sets up the problem for us, which is something that I've talked about with students from time to time in my theory of knowledge class, which is that historians looking back at the 18th century, 17th century, 19th, 18th century, as you go further back, evidence becomes harder to find for stuff. It is harder to locate good for primary sources for things as you go further back because stuff gets lost, stuff gets destroyed, stuff gets altered, right? And the further you go, the harder it can be to find good, reliable primary sources. However, an historian of the 21st century is going to have the problem of, so many primary sources. We've got an enormous amount of material, books and blogs and tweets and Instagram stories and YouTube videos and TikTok videos and everything. There's so much stuff. How on earth is any historian going to be able to write a history of the 21st century when they have to sift through mountains of nonsense? What is going to make any possible sense? It sounds from the beginning that is sort of the problem. There's too much data for the 21st century, she says, to be examined historically. And it looks like they've adopted something called the Magnum method, which boils down to we need better questions. Now, at the moment of the reading of this, I don't know what that means. We need better questions. I think that's always true. We do need better questions. But nevertheless, I don't know what that means in the context of this book. And our narrator is a researcher of the 21st century, is one of these people who has to sift through things and find what is useful or essential to understanding what the 21st century was like. And at the moment, she is reading a story published July 23rd, 2024, called The Dance of the Horned Road. And it is at this point that our narrator, Rowena Savalas, moves us into the story that she is reading, The Dance of the Horned Road, where you have our main character in that story is a girl named Fairly who is going on a quest. Now, the story is footnoted, presumably by Rowena. However, the Kindle sample does not give me access to those footnotes. And as a lifelong Terry Pratchett fan, I can tell you that I do have a soft spot in my heart for footnotes. So that's a point in favor of this book. But nevertheless, this girl Fairly is going off on a quest. This is a thing that there's a ceremony in her village. It sounds like it's something that many young people have done before her, and she's off to do it. Some of them come back, some of them do not. And the instructions for the quest end with that ominous subtitle, "You will know your place when you are done." So, okay, so is Fairly on the quest? Are we on the quest for being readers of this book? I don't know. We shall find out. And the number 381 keeps showing up, not as a plot point, but like as a literal like section divider, where in some books you might have a row of asterisks or a bit of empty space. Here it's the numbers 381, which divide one section from the next. Odd. I still don't know what 381 means. It's just kind of there. Now, there's a point of view shift at one point. That is preceded by 381. 381 precedes the quest instructions between most of the sections it's there. So I don't know what it's there for. But the point of view shifts directly to Fairly. Goes from like third person to first person. And she has these things called Cha, which are these guardian stones. We got all of these, like, she's prepared to go on this long trip somewhere. There was a girl who had gone before her, who she's hoping to meet, whose name for some reason I did not write down and I should have. But nevertheless, she is young, she's optimistic, she's going on a quest that's very well defined, that she has to find these 3, like, buttons that she's got to push, and that's it, that's the job. I don't know what the quest is supposed to get her. I don't know what the quest is supposed to resolve. I don't know what the quest is supposed to be in the end. But it's a kid going on a quest. How bad can that be? Come on, everybody loves a good quest book. But again, I kind of enjoy this nested narrative, right? We have the major narrative written by Aliya Whiteley, that is this book. We then have the next writer, which is Rowena Savalas, and then there's a narrator, and then we get to Freely's first-person point of view. So we've got a mystery village, we've got a strange ritual, we've got a quest, we've got this weird number that keeps popping up, we got footnotes that come up everywhere. So sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. That could be a really fun book to read. So is this a book that I would want to read? Yes, I think it is. It kind of speaks to my heart. Do I have any idea what's going to happen? Not as yet. It sounds like, again, Fairly, one of the things that Fairly's looking for on her quest is for the girl, her friend who preceded her on the quest. So I'm sure that that is going to be resolved at some point. And I would be looking forward to reading it with access to the full footnotes, because I'm pretty sure that Rowena is commenting on certain things as though she were explaining them to a writer of the 24th century. 24th century? 24th century. And I'm really kind of interested to see what that's like. So admittedly, I am missing some chunks from just reading the sample. I don't know how Fairly's quest is going to go, and I don't know if that Whiteley has decided that Fairly's quest, the Dance of the Horned Road, is going to be a conventional quest story, right? Where Fairly goes out, the whole Joseph Campbell hero's journey thing, and we're going to see a fairly ordinary quest play out, or if Fairly's quest is going to be something out of the ordinary, and then Rowena has to explain to her 24th century readers why this is indicative of the 21st century. There's a lot that I don't know, and I'm okay with not knowing that. And I shouldn't know that from just having read the Kindle sample. Of course, I shouldn't. But it does sound like the kind of book I would like to read, so I think, I will put it on the list of books that I will like to read and hopefully will one day read. And if it sounds like something that you will enjoy reading, if you have read it, please let me know, because I would love to hear what your thoughts on it. But maybe it's a book that you want to enjoy reading as well, so go grab that and see what you think. So that has been What Are We Reading? 381 by Aliya Whiteley. Let's give it a shot, y'all. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by. We will see what the next Kindle sample, my great big random list, gives me. I'll post the list in the bits below, so you can see sort of what's there, and you can ask me, you can suggest stuff that I can add as well. So thanks very much for stopping by, everybody. I will see you next time.